Disclosure Now. A show where we expose the truths that are nefariously hidden from humanity. Today we welcome Rand Moonshadow to examine the 2025 Los Angeles fires and ask questions about strange coincidences and events that could potentially be connected to the fires, which were predicted by Diddy victim Ali Carter.
In the meantime, there's going to be deaths, distractions, and fires to hide evidence. Watch for it, ask questions, demand answers. You know who's on those flight logs.
Hey everybody, how's it going? I suddenly can't hear anything. Hello?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, perfect. I don't know what happened there. Did you guys hear what Ali Carter said there?
Yeah, just wait until you see all the houses that are on fire coming up soon.
Yeah, so basically, I'm not sure exactly when that got posted, but I know it got posted after Diddy got arrested and before the Los Angeles fires. And I would say that's one hell of a coincidence. So, but anyway, without further ado, we're having Rand Moonshadow on the show, who has made some interesting connections when it comes to this really weird situation that's going on as far as where tunnels are located and just interesting coincidences. Now, we all know that Diddy famously, there was an article, I could go dig and find it if I wanted to, but I'm not going to do that. You can do it yourself if you want, to the viewers. But basically, one of those articles that's where it's bragging about, it's like a kind of like MTV Cribs vibe. They're like, Diddy's mansion has an underground tunnel underneath it and all this stuff. And then months later it got busted and people are like, wait a minute, you gotta that's kind of sus, actually. Like a lot of things about Diddy that are, if it's coming out where people are like, how did we not see this before? So anyway, I just want to welcome you to the show, Rand. And maybe you can explain who you are to people, your secret space program survivor, and also just your reaction to the situation, sort of the pattern recognition that you have as far as the situation, what you're seeing, and kind of your opinion on it.
Yeah, so a little bit of background. When I was in college, I studied wildland fire in Arizona. So I have a pretty good understanding of what to be expected of via management, and also what to be expected of the amount of damage that could occur because of a fire. What I find, at least in hindsight, so it's been going on 2 weeks now. And originally we were going to do this show last week. We were talking about it last week. And some time kind of changes things, right? And it's interesting to see how much of the fire just specifically stayed isolated to the Malibu region compared to so many other areas. And across that time, I really just dug into looking at the geography, and I've collected some of the different unique video samples of strange things people were seeing. So at least what I hope to do through this and through discussion and things like that is just present the evidence that I've found, and let people think about things for themselves, because it's easy, especially with TikTok, things like that. We'll have quick conspiracy videos. They'll be like, oh, this person did this 200 years ago, talked about these tunnels 200 years ago. So we just go ahead and say, oh, this is how it was, but we don't really understand the full picture. Sometimes it's not as cool as we hope it was, but sometimes it actually tells a bigger story. So yeah, I'm just excited to be here. Yeah. So
I'm kind of curious also too. I know, Brian, you've been following this story a lot as well. Maybe even closer than I have. Any weird coincidences and stuff that you've noticed as far as these fires, things that you want to point out? Because I know you've been pretty boots on the ground the whole time. Even went on a podcast talking about their ability to put it out and what sort of resources they should use and stuff like that. So,
I got to debate that. Yes, people are running the line that you can't use salt water. because it's bad for the land. You're going to blight the land and hurt the wildlife, and you won't be able to grow anything. Never mind the melted down cars, people, houses, animals, and yeah, and the chemical retardant, and the fact that they do use the seawater. Anyway, there's a couple of things. So other people on internet land have pointed out that the corridors for like the Agenda 2030 smart corridor system with the smart cities lines up pretty much perfectly with all these fires in recent memory.
I hate to be the skeptic, but like that might have to do with the fact that that's where people are. You're right. So, maybe that's weird, maybe not. Just being.
I mean, I can give a lot more weirdness.
Yeah, I'm just pointing that out. That's all.
Yeah, no, I mean, really, for me, it goes back to the Paradise, California fires.
Which, by the way, one of my best friends was literally living there at the time. And it's weird because she's coming back to my life. I just talked to her today because our mutual friend just passed. But I remember her telling me, like, and me at the time being like, maybe it's just like survivors, like paranoia or guilt or whatever. But she's like, I'm telling you, they melted everything with lasers, dude. She like literally told one of my best friends was literally living there at the time and was like, this was not a natural fire. They were using some sort of weird energy weapon or something.
Yeah,
that's what she said. She was literally there.
So I can build all the give you all the evidence, like kind of the SolarBee, like my analysis, right? Mm-hmm. So there's the Paradise, California fires where here's your friend is telling you exactly that. She obviously means it. I lived in California for 27 years, and I've been to a lot of community organizing drives, including one in the Santa Cruz area where they've dealt with like many wildfires, and they've talked about the history of that. So I've learned a bit about, the trees that can explode and get launched, 100 yards or whatever, and light trees over here on fire. So it's not like, oh my God, not understanding how voracious these fires are. But in recent years, let's go to some of them, as scientific the evidence as we can. Number one, you've had Dutch Sense, who used to be on YouTube, and I don't know if he's still there. Oh yeah, Kotze, exactly. And they could put out the fires.
Yeah, that's like literally the first thing I thought while it was happening. Yeah. My heart broke because I'm like, our government literally could just make some clouds and make this all go away, and they're of course not going to do it. It broke my heart. Like, yeah.
Right. So Dutch Sense was showing a live feed or a recording of a live feed where you've got these academic institutions and universities and scientific groups where they'll have like feeds showing you the radar and satellite imagery and all what they're detecting. And he's got like, it's like a high energy in the microwave frequency spectrum beaming down from what looked like low orbit. I mean, it's hard to tell, into like where these wildfires were hitting California at that exact time. And he's showing you this stuff. Meanwhile, you've got 20-year veteran firefighters in California who are dealing with the aftermath of Paradise, California fires. And they're saying you've got people who are literally melted in their cars. They've never seen that before. And they've seen many forest fires where the people, they're dead in their cars and they might be burnt a little, but they're not like microwave, like charred into like ash. Okay, that's a totally new phenomenon. That was as of these more recent years. Like I said, these corridors, the voraciousness of these fires, the planned incompetence of these officials, the FEMA actions in Lahaina, the missing children who are told to leave school, get on the school buses, and no one can find them anymore. And then you have people in our community who are doing remote viewing, and they're saying they're getting hits saying, looks like these kids were taken. And they, so
I remember hearing about that while it was happening.
Right. So when you put all this stuff together, it gets harder and harder to just be like, Jewish space lasers, ha ha ha. I'm getting sick of that. It really,
I know. There's
a lot of minutia. There's a lot of minutia that people don't.
I feel like
I jump to like saying it's just the space lasers or it's just this. And
at a certain point, we're presenting enough data and information that if you can't take this many puzzle pieces and line them up and watch them fit together, and you still can't figure it out, well, then I'm like done.
There's a great deal of like people sort of feel like people have less to lose. It's at least they feel that way. It's not true, but they feel they have less to lose by just going along with the narrative and believing what they're being told. And it takes like you have to let out a long sigh and be like, "Fuck, it is that bad, isn't it?" In order to accept this information, it kind of takes like a sobering moment between yourself and reality in order to accept that our government would stoop that low multiple times. And it's not even really just our government, it's just like nefarious organizations that use our government as a vehicle would be a more accurate way of saying it. But it's like, yeah, it's...
But what's the next stage, Arkeem? After denial comes what?
What is the stages of grief?
Anger. I think it's anger, and then acceptance, and then grief.
Okay, I'm gonna actually look it up just to make sure. Stages of grief.
Yeah. Denial, anger,
bargaining,
grief, acceptance,
depression and acceptance,
depression, right? And so, a lot of people are in that stage, but
they're in denial stage.
I ripped the bandage off a long time ago,
and then now next they're going to get really angry,
right? And I've
then
been
they're going to bargain. Okay, this is actually really relevant to like the world. Kind of what's going on in the world right now. Yeah,
different people are in different stages of the movement, and I would hazard to say towards the further stages along, because we're advancing the disclosure movement for the sake of disclosure, liberating humanity in our Star Trek future. And so we got to get through these stages of denial, especially. That's like
James Whitkiss says, I saw Gulf War images of Iraqi soldiers in uniform. The bodies were burnt, cooked, but the uniforms were untouched. Microwave weapons.
Yes,
another interesting thing.
There's also video of UFOs flying around shooting down directed energy beam weapons. So that correlates.
Yeah, there's some different photos of possible or videos of different UFOs. There's a lot of stuff. Do you mind? Can I share my screen?
Absolutely, brother.
I don't have to. I could probably do it just in the tile.
Also, I don't know if I said it because you're like, hey, I'm really happy to be here. We're really happy you're here, Randy.
Yeah,
sorry if I didn't acknowledge that. It took me like 20 minutes. I'm ADHD, but we're really glad you're here. And if you just put it up, it comes up if you put share screen, it'll come up on the bottom, and then I can pop it up.
Okay. Entire screen. Sure, why not?
There's like the little present button, and then
Yeah, for some reason it's saying, I gotta like hit everything. Type screen. Okay.
There we go.
Oh no. Can you see just Google Maps?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
Yeah, we can see it.
All right, so most of the fire happened, the Palisades fire, but there's a couple things I really want to point out specifically. And
sorry, turn off my mic.
Images. All right, so this was the biggest fire map. I don't know. Actually, no. I'm going to start with the tunnels. Is that okay? So
wherever you want to go with it.
Yeah,
are you talking the lizard tunnels or the Getty tunnels?
So this is the guy, G. Warren Sheffield. The story goes is he had this radio X-ray device. This is an actual photo of him, and this was 1934 to 1935. That supposedly like made this map of this underground region, and he even said that he found these like gold tablets, and his X-ray machine was reading the gold tablets. Like, okay. That seems a little extreme, but he also had, it was actually in the newspaper. Like here's the Los Angeles Times that it was in. Strange thing as well is that there was this Aldrich Durer wood print in the same article, The Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. I thought that was interesting in the same version of, so here he talks about the Catacomb City, and what he was saying is that he located it in, where's my map? Oh yeah, I made this. All right, so you can see these blue outlines if it's big enough, and there's this mountainous region. He was saying, like, in the myth is that this was like a lizard body. And it sounds crazy that this was like a lizard body. And it actually, when people are talking about like the mountain ranges being like the old dragons and lizards that died and like composed, it seems crazy. Like to me, I'm just like, that just sounds nuts. They're massive. But in a strange way, it kind of seems reminiscent of that, because he was saying that he was finding these pictures of like tunnels and stuff with his device. And this, what was most unique is that, yeah, so here's a map of it. This was a map that he made from his device. Like, this isn't him actually going down there. And he was saying that they're like these pieces of gold, and there's a little photo of this bucket of him and some of the guys he was working with going to this place here to dig. They were trying to dig a hole down to these supposed like tunnels. Yeah, so he was digging it from this location. And what I find interesting is when you look at this this picture, suppose he was digging up on top of the hill, it does look like there's a big like swash of dirt down underneath the hill of the amount of soil that he was taking out of there. Whether that pile is from him digging that or not, I don't know, but it does kind of seem similar. The only thing that was interesting is he said that, I wonder if I can find that part of the article. There was a part where supposedly he met this. Oh yeah, here it says. Then Sheffield was taken to Little Chief Greenleaf, which was supposedly a Hopi Indian guy in Arizona. They say his English name is L. Macklin, which is interesting that they combined the two together. But Native Americans say, oh, well, Chief Greenleaf wasn't even a real guy, and like that wouldn't even be a name that we use. So some people think that this was made up. But what I find interesting is that the story goes is that according to legend, as imparted to Sheffield by Macklin, the radio X-ray has revealed the location of one of the 3 lost cities on the Pacific coast, the local one having been dug by the lizard people after, quote, the Great Catastrophe, which occurred about 5,000 years ago. And this legendary catastrophe was in the form of a huge tongue of fire, which comes out of the southwest, destroying all life in its path. Now, when people were originally talking about this a few years ago, they were saying, oh, it was probably like a meteorite. But now, in regards to what's going on today with this fire sweeping across the landscape, to me, that seems more like a tongue of fire, which came out of the southwest, destroying all life in its path. At least that's my personal opinion. Okay, so...
And so that's like a reference to the Santa Ana fires.
It kind of seems
east
like
to west.
Yeah, so it's all. So it
to
seems a bit like, all right, maybe there is some sort of truth to the story. And in LA, they have these actual tunnel. Like there are some tunnel corridors that are between some of the major government buildings. I think this used to be a subway tunnel. This was one of the first tunnels that was in LA.
There's testimony of a mental health institution that's supposedly defunct, but they have like this cannibal club restaurant thing where you go into it and you go underneath it, and it's there's some of the stuff circulating online. And then the Getty tunnels, and Steve Rambo Kelly has been dedicating a lot of his life to focusing on the underground city.
Is used as
person to talk to.
It's used as a basically kind of like, like you think of the old slave where they would take the slaves and they'd put them on the plank or whatever, and they'd have the
auction block.
It's like the same thing, but on a science fiction SSP type kind of level, where they have people's consciousness and people's DNA and stuff, and that's something that happens at the Getty. And they have like sex parties with underage individuals that are being abused and stuff like that, and a lot of really unsavory things connected to the Getty and just Los Angeles in general, it's because of the high vibration. So it's another one of those places where it's like, don't avoid it because of the Luciferians, but you really got to be aware of it. Like they're there hardcore, and there's some super dark energy there because of that. Those people that, the Hollywood people that are there, let's be real, like even the most mainstream people out there are seeing the dark underbelly of Hollywood now, and like how there's like basically a satanic cult underneath it all. It's yeah, and I 100% do believe, and of course, like I said at the beginning of the show with a little thing, use discernment, but I believe it's 100% connected to all that stuff. I don't think that this fire just randomly happened. People that were living there were like saying how I mean, yeah, it's not like they always know that the Santa Ana winds, like it's they cause fire dangers, but they were just people were just saying it was jumping from place to place and just acting really
And
erratically.
arsonists were caught. And then
Yes.
I think there is video that people might have of, like the electrical lines having like sparks and stuff. And I've seen videos of this in the other places where people are alleging directed energy weapons. And then, of course, there's the blue roofs, the blue cars, the blue bins, where like literally everything else is incinerated.
Yeah, it's weird. And I watch this guy. It's a good channel. I don't know if you've ever watched Minutes of Horror on YouTube, but he was just like pointing out like it's to the point where he's like, "Are they mocking us?" Because he showed some videos of it. It's like everything's burned, and there's this plastic blue recycling bin, and it's untouched. And he's like,
It's not mocking. It's
yeah."
the
He's like,
lasers. The lasers can't affect that blue because of the frequency.
I know,
of
but
that.
he's like, he's like, we've all been talking about it, and it's almost like these people who are staging events. They're like making sure get that in the shot, really rub it in. You know what I mean? Like they almost it almost feels like the people who are like the world stage is a theater. It almost feels like this point they're getting their rocks off at like mocking
It's
us.
hard.
Like,
It's hard to say because sometimes it might be that they're mocking us, and then other times it might be a photographer who, they want to get it in, and they're doing it to get the word out, and they're trying to
because
see.
they're secretly like on our side and they're trying
Yeah,
to do the
yeah,
right thing.
yes.
Yeah, they might not be able to go in front of the camera and be like, but they can at least get that.
And some do.
It's all a lie, but they can at least get the right shots and make people ask questions.
Like we haven't had any weather people come out and say, "Hey, directed energy weapons," that I've seen, but I've seen several clips of news people from all over the world coming out talking about chemtrails, geoengineering. So that is happening to some extent.
Okay, so we're gonna address some questions real quick before my
Okay.
ADHD mind forgets. So I need to do more research on Ally Carter. She was mentioned in the beginning of the video, and I'll be honest with you, I watched a video by this guy Sloan who just talks about Hollywood a lot, and he talked about the fires and all the weird. He lives in LA, so he was talking about the fires and all the weird coincidences he was seeing, and he put that clip in his video. So I looked her up, found that clip, put it in the video.
Okay,
I need to
that's
know
a
more
gal.
about her. What?
Sloan Bella, the astrologist.
No, it's a different. If it's a different Sloan, it's a
Okay.
dude.
Okay.
Yeah, and he went from like being like a Hollywood gossip guy to like now he's like basically got him to realize like the loser fairy and satanic kind of part of Hollywood. So he started as more innocent, just like into Hollywood, like into celebrities, and it turned into something kind of totally different just because of the stuff that he found. So yeah, he's an interesting guy, but like he just I just watched a video on his channel and he talked about Ally Carter, and I definitely need to learn more about it. And also this, I have two theories on this. It might be, but also there's one. Think about how easy it would be because if you've ever been to Los Angeles, it's kind of like really really rich people, right, and then really like poorest of the poor. It'd be pretty easy to go up to a poor person and be like, "Hey, I'll give you money to start a fire." You know what I mean? And even if they were morally against it, money can be a powerful motivator for somebody who's in poverty.
Yeah, one of the arsonists had supposedly a UN pay card. At least that was the rumor, and like 5 cell phones.
Yeah, so who knows? But I would say that's like really likely. Like we don't have the facts here, so all we can do is ask questions.
We have remote viewers. We have remote viewers and people who are talking about seeing more like weaponized migration. People who have certain levels of programming or just pay to be on a mission to mess up our infrastructure, to light fires. When they do the mugshots of the arsonists in these recent fires, many of them have been recent people who came over the border without, whether properly or improperly under the previous administration. It was a porous, open border with Harris as a border czar, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And now a lot of those people are setting up fires.
I have heard stuff about there being like MK Ultra operations in Latin America, where that I'm not saying that is happening or it isn't happening. It's definitely a question to ask, and I'm not like.
Oh, I can talk about that. You've got the School of the Americas, Arkeem, which was at Fort Benning, Georgia, and now the Western Hemispheric Institute for Security Cooperation. And so going back to the days of United Fruit and the Bush family, going down there in Chiquita and Dole, and this is in the wake of Operation Paperclip, importing all these bloodline and bad German families in the wake of World War II to Latin America. That MK Ultra stuff, that's where the Boys from Brazil movie comes from. So there's a decades long lineage of this down there, just like up here. And that's, a lot of this has come out in the 3D Matrix world with films by like Costa Gavras, who is kind of like a 60s revolutionary type filmmaker depicting all these fascist, neo-fascist New World Order, well, proto New World Order formulations back in the day, and in his movies and films.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's really interesting. Yeah, and another person in the comments is saying voice to skull. That could be a part of it. I do think that, like, regardless of exactly how it happened, I don't think it was just like, oops. Like, I think there was a manufactured aspect to this. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I think so too. I don't think it was all organic. Do you guys mind if I talk a little? I want to talk a little bit more about the geology, which is
yes,
kind of
yes,
so
please. That's
on
exactly what I have here.
this one picture, I have like the Santa Monica Fault. So Palisades is like where it says 1 mile up here. So there's a very distinct, there's different stone structure up here than there is down in the main city. And I'm sorry, I just forgot where I'm at. Okay, so the stone in the Palisades is actually the sandstone. So this is actually a natural cave that is in that area, and it looks a lot like how the caves, in a way, kind of what I remember them looking like on Mars. That doesn't matter. They're just they're big and open and kind of washed out, and the stone is very soft, so it's very easy to mine. But there's go back to here, and I can show you this one. So here is the area of the Palisades. So this is all that sandstone. The interesting thing is when I was remote viewing, I was seeing like tunnel exits out here, and I also saw an underwater moon pool. This was just what I was seeing when I was remote viewing. But when I started going down that track, I was surprised at a couple of the things that I found. All right, so this one's kind of like what a moon pool would be like. Now, if I can, this is at surface level, but theoretically you could build a tunnel deep down, bring it up to the surface level of the ocean, and have essentially a moon pool underneath a mountain range. Like, physically, it's totally possible. And this is actually more of a This is kind of the cliffside over here that it would be the Palisades. Over here, you can see samples of like where some of the there's some earthen slides, or in the past where water's coming down and built these submarine canyons.
Rand, are you saying there's a deep underground military base around that port area?
I think so. And so what I'm basing that on is merely my remote
I've heard reports. I've heard other people say this.
Looking at the possibility of it being possible in the geology. One, the stone is very soft and easy to move. Here's actually this isn't.
You might have to zoom in a little bit. That's real small.
It's tiny, isn't it?
That little thing on the bottom right. Yeah, you should be able to zoom in.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. So these yellow ones are supposedly like slides, but if you look at the Google Earth, you'll see that a lot of this is blurred out. But this area is very steep, and when I was RVing, this is kind of like where I saw that there was like the submarine canyons or caves. But it gets stranger than that, because when we look at Google Earth, all right, so here if we're looking at Google Earth, this is all blurred out.
And when it wasn't, it looked like there was like these long lines, almost like you had these underground maglev tunnels running for hundreds of miles in straight lines and these weird other formations.
So look at all this area of the ocean, right? And it's all deep. Maybe it's for national security reasons. So like, hey, we don't want submarines hanging out over here. But this whole region is all blurred out. And this is a really steep area. But it gets stranger because when you go over here to, what is it? Where's that town? See here? Sorry, I just got a little lost geographically. Oh yeah, in Oxnard. Okay, so this is on the west side. That whole fault line would be like up here. But then right here, there's a secure port. This is a Navy port, and it gets even stranger. USAP, United States Antarctic Program. This is like where all the heavy cargo that goes to Antarctica from the United States gets loaded and offloaded.
It just says USAP there.
Yeah.
What's US Antarctic Program? United States Antarctic Program. Interesting.
Yeah. So I find that combination of things. So here's like a secure port, right adjacent to the Palisades, and of all the ports in the United States, this is where they happen to have the United States Antarctic Program. What that means, I don't know. I just find it interesting.
Well, think about it this way: it's a major port, and then our good friend John Whitberg talks about it's huge maglev system that was built by Roundtree International, and he cites that in his The Man with the Periwinkle Eyes series of based on a real testimony, not science fiction, which he made for free. Everybody.
Yeah.
I also am worried about San Francisco. And I'll also say too, I had an altar come out before these fires happened, less than a week before they happened, and I don't know what altar it was, to be honest with you, but he told Kat, watch out for the fires. He said a bunch of fires are gonna happen, and
you told me this too. You shared that with me, Arkeem, before the fires.
Yeah, so like Brian was there, like he remembers this. I literally predicted there were going to be fires, and I said pay attention to where they are, because that's going to explain to you why. And I also, that altar said they burned down the Morrison Hotel on purpose, because the Morrison Hotel burned down a week before, and he said that it was an MK Ultra spot, and it was still being utilized. And since there were homeless people trying to live there and stuff like that, they had to burn it down, because it was like becoming known something weird was going on there. So, yeah, that's just something to think about.
Where's the Morrison Hotel at? Do you know?
It was in Los Angeles, I believe. Let me look and make sure.
I'm not screen sharing anymore, am I?
No. No, you're not.
So one thing that I noticed too is that like they talk about like P. Diddy's house, and it's like in exactly the same neighborhood as the Playboy Mansions were. And I did a deep dig a couple years ago, like just looking at the actual, like, were there actually tunnels at the Playboy Mansion? There were, and they went to like 2 or 3 different residences, and it was supposedly like a joke. And even when you look at when Playboy started in Chicago, I think, I forget the guy's name, but he had kind of like these mystery passageways even in his apartment mansion that he started.
Hugh Hefner.
Hugh Hefner.
Yeah,
so this was kind of like a standard thing for them.
They published child exploitation material. Like Playboy had like another like magazine, I forget what it was called. I think it was Brooke Shields, maybe it was somebody else, but they were not of age, and they published that. And you think that would be like a forever a stain on Hugh Hefner's reputation, and he'd be blacklisted and all this stuff. Nope, that's not what happened. So
yeah, I'm glad.
So they do great HBO shows about him, about how great a humanitarian he was, and
really
in a feminist women's
so
liberation.
Fucking disgusting, dude. He was so disgusting. And he's buried next to Marilyn because he was obsessed with her, and he wanted to like be facing her or whatever. So he's buried on top of her or something like that. He paid all this money to do it. And it is one of my goals, along with the Rose Garden, is to move her grave and get Hugh Hefner's grave away from her grave, because that's not right. So that's actually a goal that I have that hopefully I'll achieve in this timeline too. I've achieved it in other timelines.
Yeah, that's a good one. I agree that there's some graves that some of them I think should be exhumed.
By the way, we got to do that at the end of the show. We got to do the bell for the children. We've been forgetting about that. Because even if 90% of the bases are cleared out, it's still a lot. And of course, it's not just Earth too. So it's for all of the children, human or not, because some of them are ET too, all across the galaxy. I just want to spread like an anti-slavery sentiment that's so strong. Like doesn't matter whether you're a human or you're a reptilian or whatever. I just feel like we just should be against it. Like sometimes like work should be evenly distributed, and it's not the most terrible thing to put in some work for your society and contribute. Like, it's not something to be proud of. Like, I don't know. It's just, sorry, I'm going on a tangent now.
No, I
but
think it's important because like the whole UBI thing is really like has in a strange way has a lot to do with this because if this
Universal
is really
basic income, everybody,
yeah,
just in
yeah.
case.
So if like if there's is this premise that this is part of like this new smart city thing, is that what I find really unique is that how are people going to survive without UBI, and no one's even talking about how that will go about. So in my mind, how that's coming about is that
Andrew Yang is. I mean,
the
Andrew Yang
oligarchs.
is. He's cool.
Okay, I haven't listened to him much. As
Yeah.
far as I
But
know,
this is,
now
like,
the
whole thing, so.
oligarchs are like even like Elon, like it's all this. It's a subscription model. All the money goes directly to him, and he's going to decide how. In his shareholders, let's be real, Elon doesn't own all this. His shareholders do.
But he's a huge majority shareholder, yeah. And
Yeah.
Nate Gray should petition RFK to help, because Nate, I think, kind of knows RFK, to get Maryland moved to a better place for Black. I should talk to him about that.
Oh, we'll get there. We've got a lot of things to deal with. That's just one of the parts on our list. And how you Terry
I
Hopper,
honestly, I have a memory of right as this was happening, I have a memory of like being on another planet with P. Diddy. So that's actually likely. And another thing too is his mugshot, like that's in the thumbnail.
He looked like Goku, did he? He looked like Goku from Dragon Ball Z.
He just he looks like doesn't he kind of look like a hybrid too? Doesn't he look kind of alien?
Yeah,
it looked like it wasn't him.
His head looks a little bigger.
Yeah.
Well, Rand, we were just talking about the Diddy mansion, and we know that burned down. Did the Playboy mansion of Hugh Hefner burn down as well?
I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, let's look it up. Google.
I know a few years ago that when after Hugh Hefner passed on, whoever bought it was going through like massive remodels, and some of that remodels actually had to do with the land itself. And I want to think that there's things going on in the background to help fix some of this stuff. Frankly, I'm just going to say I don't know. If there is, well, we've been time operatives, so we kind of understand how it's pretty easy to hide things by using time manipulation. If there is actually that sort of thing going on, they've been doing a really good job trying to keep things covered up. Because it's like the National Guard was like even right in the California area right away. There was something about National Guard going to Ben Affleck's house because it supposedly was connected to the drone that hit the whatever the airdrop plane was.
What?
The water drop plane was?
One of the 3 Canadian water planes that came down to firefight. One got hit by a drone on its wings.
Yeah. There was a little DJI drone that supposedly hit the wing, and they were and this happened to be coordinated with like maybe this region where Ben Affleck's house was, but then I saw a photo of like an MRAP in front of his house.
So an MRAP is a special armored vehicle for personnel transportation, and then a link to Ben Affleck would be J-Lo with P. Diddy as well, right? Did they ever hang out?
Yeah, people said that. Yeah.
By the way, J-Lo's like a dark witch.
Yep.
Like what's it called?
Beyonce.
Santeria? Is that the religion she practices?
Yeah.
Yeah, and what's his name? Leo Zagame talks about it in one of his books pretty extensively. He talks about J-Lo and her connection to the Luciferians and all that stuff. His book about the music industry. He's got like, how many books does he have, Brian? He's got like 10 of them.
Well, I've got like 6 volumes. I think he's up to 8 or 9 or 10. Yeah, I could see him up to 10 right now. Yeah. I've got some up there on my lintel up there, or whatever. Not lintel, but there.
I honestly sort of feel like this is all just speculation and like my intuitiveness, I guess. But I feel like Ben Affleck
up there
saw a bunch of stuff when he was dating J-Lo and was like, oh hell no. And I think that's where that photo of him like smoking a cigarette, he just looks like holy shit, like all stressed out. I have a feeling that's what he's thinking about. It's just like, man, these fucking disgusting Satanist pieces of shit. Like, how did I get trapped in this crap? Like, I kind of almost think that's what he's thinking about.
Yeah, the amount of people that are blackmailed too. I've had to take a step back and try and like forgive people some and realize that like, if you're blackmailed, it's really hard to get out of it. And
Yeah, I had to
what
realize
I kind
that
of
for my
wonder
brother,
is
who
like
shall not be named.
it's just this massive nest of blackmailed people. And if you get caught up in it, how do you get out? And in some ways that's kind of, believe it or not, I almost see the fires in some ways a possibility to let people talk some more. Because I'm like, hey, if this is a hive, okay, I just use the word sin. If this is a hive of sin, like, what better way to just decentralize, to break it apart? Because you know what, the things that are on the dark web are even worse than the things we even know in our minds. And the depth of it is just unlimited. And if there isn't some there is something about geographical location and anchoring, and going back to Arkeem with what you were saying about this being a very energetically powerful center. It's like it actually influences the morphogenic field of the earth. I don't know about you guys, but for me, when this was going on, I actually felt internally my body changing. It seems strange, but it's almost like there are energetic aspects of this.
I mean, I felt I was in such high state of anxiety. I'm sure I lost a few Facebook friends, but just going off on people running this do nothing line of like, oh, well, I guess you can let 10 miles of Los Angeles burn. That's perfectly normal. We forgot how to fight fires suddenly. I mean, 150 plus $1 billion of damage of property, much less all the people and animals burnt up, is
Malibu's gone.
Malibu, Pacific Palisades.
And another thing too is I've been to Malibu. I've done a video about Malibu. I went there. There's
I remember
Stargate
that.
There.
The Stargate there.
There's a Stargate at the.
Yeah, you and Kat found that.
Yep. Yeah, and when I was there, I just got this vibe. Like, it was really weird. I felt like I was in a diorama. I felt like I was in a fake town. Like that was like plastic, and the people weren't real. That's what it felt like. And so I don't know. I just feel like, it doesn't surprise me that something weird's going on in that area, because I felt it when I was there. I was like, and I remembered it too. I know that I have alters that spent time in Los Angeles in that area, and there's just stargates, portals, underground bases, and just so much crazy stuff going on in that part of the world. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, I actually RV'd so a couple of the other things I RV'd was like Stargate, and I also RV'd a whole room filled of MIBs, Men in Blacks,
and they were underground.
Did
they have black eyes, Rand?
They kind of have like whitish skin, kind of bald heads, and like dark eyes. Yeah.
Because what I've heard is the black-eyed children, the whole phenomenon of them knocking on your door or window of your car and asking if they can come in and use your telephone. The whole deal is these are like the children of some of these men in black. They, like as children do, decided they wanted to explore. They made it up to the surface. Now they have no way to get back into the deep underground base. So they're given a phone number. They're told, if you ever get lost on the surface, find someone, use their phone, and call this number.
Oh, wow.
So that's what I'm told. That's what I believe is part of that phenomenon.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Okay, so then there's another aspect. Like if there is an SSP aspect to this, or there are people trying to end this. I mean, let's just be a little optimistic. Maybe there's people trying to end all this bad stuff. Is that, the surface was removed, and police officers are able to go in there. Firefighters are able to go in there. National Guard are able to go in there. There's no warrants, have pretty much just been like out the window now, which you would have to get any of these residences if there's hypothetically, if there's young beings down in the basements, it's impossible to get a warrant to be able to go in there.
I'd say it's more that the New World Order is doing its space laser, new arson thing, but the white hats know that while they're doing this, well, then they're going to come in and try to counteract, and then they'll go and swoop through. But I think the fires are inspired by the other side. The amount of damage is horrible. And for the people who think, well, maybe it's to help clean out the underground bases. I mean, the underground bases are like 10 kilometers plus deep. I don't think it's...
Yeah, and it's funny, too. It's like I know from experience, because I was there when we've taken out some of these bases. It's the opposite. We fill them with water. We fill them with water. That's how we get rid of them. We destroy them by filling them with water. So we go in there, we rescue the kids or whoever else might be innocent and innocent bystanders, because some people are forced to be there. Get those people out and just fucking flood it with water. So it destroys all of the technology, all of the computers. If anyone's there, hey, unless you can breathe underwater, you're about to die. Like, that's actually how they do it. So yeah, I agree with you, Brian. I don't think that's the reason why they did it.
Oh, I'm not saying I think that it was done because of this, but when we're looking at timeline because it's a timeline war going back and forth, right? So because of that, the good and the bad people, and there's people that are in between. There's like 5 goodish bad groups, whatever. They're all interchanging how they're interacting with each other, trying to take control of the timeline. As we saw in Montauk, there are always these like inner battles of people trying to take control of Montauk.
And that's one thing I always want people to understand from our insider perspective is there's this. It seems like there's this idea that there's only one nefarious bad group.
So true, yeah.
But there's actually like multiple ones, and sometimes they get along and work together, and sometimes there's infighting. And this has been talked about by like pretty much every whistleblower under the sun that's worth their weight. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of infighting between these groups because they all want power. They're all power hungry, and that's how power hungry people work. You know what I mean? They're always screwing each other over, stabbing each other in the back and stuff like that because they want more power. So that's something that we have on our side, is they don't really have much allegiance to each other, whereas we do. Like, the common good is an allegiance we all have. We want to live with clean air, clean water, clean food. We want our kids to be safe. We want our cities to be safe. Like, everybody wants that. And that's that common good that we all desire is not something we have to be taught. It's not something that we have to really communicate or decide on. It's just there. And it for them and their mentality, it takes like fucking a great deal of programming and mind control and just energy. Whereas our side, we don't need to do mental gymnastics or anything or start a cult or a new group. It's like the end of Star Wars, the new Star Wars. A lot of people don't like the new Disney Star Wars, and that's a whole nother subject. I understand it. But I thought the ending, which surprised me because Disney's like this evil corporation that's connected to the Losers Variants. But the ending where it shows it doesn't matter how strong the Empire is what they basically show. They show that like the Empire, they come on the big screen and they're like, hey, we own the galaxy now, blah, blah, blah. And everybody at the same time is like, what now, bitch? No, you don't. Like, huh? And they all in unison at the same time are like, we gotta say no to this, and they just do
a rebel alliance, like
exactly. And I think that's sort of what's gonna happen with Earth and New Earth and humanity is we don't really need to communicate over that much. Like, these people are so bad that like we can figure out all the other stuff we disagree on later. The main thing right now is we have to take out these groups, because it's more than one, who are hurting children, who are doing black magic, who are and trying to pull our timeline into chaos because it's their religion. They worship chaos. It's like, oh man. I was telling Nathan, it's like these guys, you ever watch Rick and Morty and like the people from the hell dimension where they're got like nails through their brains and like they're always trying to pain and like good is bad and bad is good, and it shows how silly it is and how it's like a joke. That's literally in real life kind of like what these loser variants are like. They're like, they don't make sense. It's like for example, like when Aquino was proud of me if I did something good, he couldn't really be like, good job, son, like, because they're evil. You know what I mean? Like, it's a really weird environment that makes no sense. Like, love is supposed to exist, and you're supposed to express it, and to be in this environment where like you don't believe love should be a thing and it's all selfishness. You have to do mental gymnastics and basically be a fucking psychopath idiot to stay there. Seriously. It doesn't make sense. It like doesn't make sense at all. It's like you have to like it's mentally exhaustive to stay there. It's much easier to just be in reality where it's like good is good and bad is bad. It's pretty simple. Like, it's not that complicated, really. Sorry. I feel like I'm ranting a lot. Maybe it's the coffee.
Rand, I was going to ask, because you mentioned it sounds like you've done a lot of remote viewing. Were you attracted to remote view this area before these fires, or is it all this data?
No, I haven't. So that should be a caveat, is a lot of this was like in hindsight. of like looking and seeing what was under there, and that it's remote viewing in some regards also has. I do believe it connects with the quantum field, and believe it or not, I do actually think that when we remote view things, we actually can be changing aspects of reality. So it's a bit of I'll say this, it's just what I saw. And when I look at the geographical location of the area and the region, and this Navy base on the north side, and this Antarctica base, and that this soft sandstone, I very well see that it's possible that there is a deeper underground network in that region.
I think even the most average, mundane, I don't know if I'm using the right words here, but just like normal people are like, this is pretty weird. These fires are weird, especially people who actually live there. Because I've watched a lot of videos from people who live there, and they're like, this is weird. Like, you know what I mean? And it's not people who are conspiracy theorists who have a YouTube channel or whatever. It's normal people. Just like with the fires in Lahaina and stuff like that. One of the guys that I saw that really rose to prominence on YouTube and became really popular, he was a real estate guy. He wasn't a conspiracy theorist. He was just trying to sell property. Yeah. He was just trying to sell property. And he switched his whole YouTube and became like a conspiracy theorist activist guy because of all the stuff he was seeing.
Is that real estate mindset?
I think that might be it. Yeah, I think probably is. Yeah. He was like. Just,
I mean, 10 miles of Los Angeles, 150 billion. This is the most costly fire ever. It's just wild. It blows my mind.
All right, can you guys see my screen again?
Yes, I can.
Okay,
I'm not sure if we'll be able to hear the sound, but we can try it out.
Can you hear it?
Can't hear it. I mean, kind of. Yeah, we can hear it.
It's really low, but what is that?
Oh, I don't know.
That looks like a kite.
The kids are saying that looks like a kite, and the dad's like, that's not a kite.
That's not a kite.
It is kind of weird looking.
It's moving interestingly, against the wind. Is it coming down at the same angle? Or no, is it shifting again? It's hard to say.
And if it's a kite, okay, why are they just casually flying a kite during a wildfire?
Yeah.
Right? Because that's not nice. You can see the fires going on. Who the fuck decides, you know what I'm going to do right now? I'm going to go outside and I'm going to, while the city is burning around me, I'm going to
stuff like that happens. This is, I thought that this was really, this one's kind of, so this is Amazon delivering in the fire.
He's literally delivering mid-fire?
Yeah, so that, or at least that's what Twitter was saying. So I thought, so this is the one that I think people are thinking was a plane, but I think it's suspect.
Well, I got some data on ET activity for that region. I did a show with Christopher Jacobs and Joanna Michaels on their channel World of Sasquatch, and according to their, I think it was Sasquatch contacts were telepathically speaking with via Christopher Jacobs, a lot of these Illuminati cabal types, they've made a lot of deals and they made a lot of promises. And because right now they're losing and they're being rounded up, they're not able to just manifest all the gold and human slaves and whatever that they'd originally promised. So apparently some of the ET UFO activity has been negative UFO ETs who were promised wealth, and some of it is going to be repaid to them, at least according to if the Luciferians have their way in some of this land grabbed property. And so that was the data we got from Christopher and Joanna's show.
So you're saying that they're kind of they realize they've lost by and large, but they're kind of trying to renegotiate. They're making what they say is concessions. They're renegotiating.
Right. So some of the land that would be grabbed would be as concession, and then they're also doing everything they can to try to do their New World Order playbook. So that includes all right, well, maybe we're losing, but we're still going to try for the smart cities. We're going to still try to get everyone, to roll up their sleeve. We're still going to try to get everyone onto universal basic income. And we're going to still try to force, their central bank digital currency as opposed to decentralized or more of a fair quantum type system, anything, to railroad us onto their path. And obviously it's not working, but they'll still go that route. It's like a bear who's dying. Just because a bear is shot and infected and is dying doesn't mean he's going to lay down and go to sleep. Anyone close to that bear is liable to have their face ripped off.
Yeah, good point there, Brian. Yeah, they're gonna. It's kind of like some people have been worried about. I can't remember who brought it up, but like somebody asked me, like, do you think they're willing to just blow up the Earth if they can't have it? Like, and the thing is, yes, they are willing to do that, but guess who won't let them do that? Anyone. The Earth is alive. It's too important. They do not want there's. It's not just humans who don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
The Earth is all these portals and all this stuff going on, and it's an important place. And I'm pretty sure the Galactic Federation, just the Galactics in general, are already like they're already like, yo, you're not taking good enough care of this planet. They're pissed about it. If you do an even worse job, no, that's not acceptable. They're already angry at us, and 100% already protect us. They're already shutting down nuclear test sites and nuclear. I don't know if you've seen these videos of. There's a video of Larry King talking about it was the news, the interviewer guy. He had three separate. It was an Australian guy. I think it was actually maybe even four, but I remember it was like 3 or 4 different military generals. One of them was Australian, one of them was British, and 2 of them were American, I'm pretty sure. And they all had more or less the same story, is that they were on base. I think one of the guys, it was a ship in the water, but the same story. And UFO shows up, all their missiles like shoot off and like just blow up in midair harmlessly without harming anything, and then the UFO flies away.
Mm-hmm.
And this was on Larry King like 20 years ago. I mean, this is, you know what I mean? This is old news. Like, and yeah, they are 100% protecting humanity. It isn't
it's not just
sunshine and rainbow fairy tales. It's real. They are.
There's even a darker side. Is that it's one thing if humanity blows ourselves up, but the deal is that especially like the hydrogen bombs, they rip holes in time and space that affect these ETs and themselves directly. Mm-hmm. And so at the point where they're stepping in to mess with our nuclear weaponry systems on Earth, that's not just they're protecting humanity. There's also a part of why they get to go around the Prime Directive isn't that they're not just protecting us, they're protecting themselves, and they have the right to do that per universal law.
Yeah, I don't remember or I don't understand exactly why scientifically why the nukes are so damaging to the space-time continuum, but it seems pretty apparent that is a pretty significant memory that I have. Is that even in Nachtwalk, when we moved away from nuclear bombs, using them for a while, because I think people started to realize that it was like ripping holes in the time continuum. Yet here I know I was reading about it's called Starfish Prime, where the U.S. military launched a nuclear bomb like up into the upper atmosphere and set it off as a test. And then you read about Bohemia Atoll, where all the villagers were like moved off Bohemia Atoll and then blew up the whole freaking reef structure. And then we're like, oh yeah, this is just scientific research to see what it does to a fleet of ships. It's like, come on, guys, like. And this goes as far as with the current AI stuff. It's like, you guys, you can't just think about like 5 years out. Like, you got to be making decisions for 500 years out. And I don't know, scientists don't do that. They're idiots. Anyways.
They're kind of like kids playing with their toys, and they don't realize the repercussions of what they're doing a lot sometimes. Like, that's been some of the biggest problems that we've faced with Earth and humanity. It's just curious idiots opening Pandora's box, and then we have to deal with the aftermath. You know what I mean?
The Luciferian doctrine. That's what happened at Montauk. Is science no matter what.
Oh man!
Like what
Was
Nixon's
that something that was that something that we literally said there? Was that like a fucking
no,
catchphrase?
no, I wouldn't say that, but that was always the mentality, right? Like even Bill Gates in like 2002 or something, or maybe 2010. There's some news article saying that, well, actually, we understand death quite well. It's like, yeah, you understand that the soul doesn't die, and you can rehome souls in the clones and do whatever you want with them. That's what
Yeah,
you're not
and
saying.
they and you can live forever. And the thing is this is how it happens. Is it's an option for the rich, and if you are from a lower class family,
Yeah,
if you want to live
that's
forever, you got to join the breakaway colonies and be part of the military. The fear of death is a really powerful motivator.
it is, isn't it?
So I want people to understand that in breakaway colonies, they literally a lot of times it's real rough living on these. You're living on a moon or an asteroid, and it's not fun. It's not a good time. And the motivation, the carrot that they dangle in front of you, is well, you can join the military and get off this rock. That's the only way off is joining the military. So that's what it's like out there for people who are wondering. That's what it's like.
Be a stormtrooper.
Yeah, basically either stay on the surface and work really hard, be a dishwasher or a miner or something really shitty that's not fun and barely get paid enough to survive, get paid peanuts, or join the military, eat good food, be respected. It's an easy decision for most people. Like most men in the breakaway colonies join the military, to some capacity, even if it isn't as a soldier. Just like in the regular army, it's not just soldiers. They need analysts. They need repair people for the planes and stuff like that. Like it's a whole operation. So it's the same thing in the breakaway colonies. But yeah, suffice to say, it's just like here in the United States. Like for the lower class people, they're like, hey, if you want to get out of poverty, well, you can go to college for free if you just join the military for free, no debt. And a lot of people take that, and they it's helped some people, but it's like just one of those things that they do where if you want to climb the ladder of society and you want to get out of debt, you want to get out of poverty, you don't want to be poor anymore, join the military. That's your option in a lot of places. In some places it's not even an option. It's like you're literally conscripted into the military just by being born certain places. Like if you're born on certain asteroids or moons or whatever, and you're a male of healthy age or whatever, you have to join the military and spend time in the military. It's not an option. So, yeah.
And is this in the German breakaways, Arkeem, what you're speaking
No,
of there?
yes and no, both really. But it's just in general, like on a lot of colonies, it's way different than it is here. Like for instance, for here, no one's having kids anymore, right? Like my generation isn't having children as much anyway. And on the break with, you got to pop out a baby, man. That's like your job. Like if you're fucking a man, like knock up as many women as you can, or at least have a wife and have a lot of kids with her. Like it's encouraged. Like you need to have children. There isn't this like option to like not have kids. No, you are like expected to. It's your social obligation to have children, to grow the colony, to make the colony strong. Like it's a different mentality than on Earth. You know what I mean? These colonies they look at everything different, and half of them, more than half of them are military outposts. They're not really civilian colonies. There might be some aspect of civilian life on the surface of even military colonies, but they're military. You know what I mean?
Are they ICC? Are they?
Yeah,
is there like
that's a big
is there
one.
an American
ICC.
breakaway?
ICC is a big one, and
and that's interplanetary corporate conglomerate for everybody.
Interplanetary corporate conglomerate, which is multiple different corporations and multiple different
the
planets.
bankers in space.
Yeah, that's what the Germans call them, the bankers in space.
Another thing I remember saying is like base 10 math. What's it good for other than it was banker math? That was another thing I remember saying.
What would you say? Say that again?
Yeah, like base 10 math, what's it good for? And that was referring to, it's like money math. It's only worthwhile for money, where we were using base 6 for everything else. And I'm not like a great mathematician, at least with this brain, but it has something to do with prime numbers coming out differently. Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Something I saw
No,
some
you're not
things in
interrupting. That's
chat, which I thought I think it's important that he says, Charles Milligan, he said, you're talking about the light tunnel. And then I've heard a lot of people say that that's been stopped now anyways. on a logical perspective, I think that's difficult to know how, if that's actually true. It does appear that such a thing does exist, and how to navigate that, I have no clue. A lot of people have ideas about it. At least those are my perspectives on it. I do think it exists. I'll say
But
that.
to avoid the soul traps,
This whole soul trap
I've heard a
thing.
couple of things. So some people are seeing some of this technology apparently coming down to some extent, but I don't think it's totally dismantled by a long shot.
Mhm.
Some people say the way that you avoid the soul trap is when you first leave your body, instead of like looking up and seeing the light and then being attracted to the light and then sucked into it like a bug zapper, which is what the Farsight Institute's reported. You
Great.
turn. It sounds funny, but you turn your back on the light, and when you look behind you, you're going to see like the whole universe, and then you'll know where to go from there, and you get to decide. That's what I heard.
Yeah, I think it's good to, like, if you do find yourself passing on, your body first hurts, it goes numb, and then you pop out, and what you'll notice is you're not breathing. That's the best way to know that you're dead, is you're like, hey, I'm not breathing. And then, at least from spiritual traditions, the best thing that you got to relax. You got to like reconnect with your heart and your soul, because ultimately we are a universal love if we choose it, and not to be afraid. And then one other thing, just because I saw that Gigi's Unhinged talked about, she saw there were stories of UFOs coming and going from Lake Ontario. I don't know for certain, but I actually wonder if the UFOs go to the Great Lakes to simply wash the salt water off their ships. That's just my thought.
Well, the Great Lakes, there's that whole thing about Hunter Biden. He has the Finger Lakes.
Oh, the Finger Lakes in New York, yeah.
Near
New York.
Yeah, the Finger
That's
Lakes.
that area is. I think there's a lot of like. I know, like, a lot of people mix. There's a difference between being a pagan, in my opinion, and sacrificing kids inside a pentagram.
Oh, big time.
Like,
big
they're
time.
totally,
Yeah,
they're very
course.
different.
That goes without
And
saying.
I think there's a lot of that sort of stuff that goes on in the Finger Lakes region.
Yeah, because I think more the truth or conspiracy community was saying, linking that to some kind of human trafficking, but I forget.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Charles Milligan saying that's from Alex Collier. Yes, he said turning around to see the true exit.
Well, I would say I wouldn't say it's all funded by our tax dollars, but they do get some of our tax money, just like the Draco Empire gets some of our tax money. Like,
And they
your
don't
money,
get some of their products. Arkeem, like some of their products come from the SSP breakaways, and a lot of our stuff ends up from here on Earth going out to them.
I know that some of our stuff from here on Earth goes out to them. I don't know how much of the stuff that we get here is from them. I believe that certain movies are from the breakaway planets, and they just like pretend that they make them here and stuff like that. Because I remember certain movies, I've seen them on other planets, and they didn't change anything. It's the same movie. Like, so, and a lot of times it's like fantasy movies that set on like another planet. Like, so, because like it doesn't matter whether it's on Earth or whatever where they show it. But yeah, that's something that people should know is they recycle movies and pop culture and stuff like that. You'll even see the same celebrities. Like, I've seen Brad Pitt on other planets. Like, he's an actor and he's on TV and stuff like that. He's in TV commercials and shit. Like, I've seen that. So it's like, yeah, it's just really weird. Yeah.
I want to say one other thing that came to my mind. I think it's just a community service announcement. Is it's about suicide stuff. Should I talk about that?
Yeah, just be careful of the words you use.
Yeah. Okay, so this idea that we live our spirits don't die when our physical bodies die. It's very clear that a lot of us get Omega programming, and part of that Omega programming is that temptation that you can go and rehome or something like that. I want to say to you all, like, part of that is there's something on the timeline that people want to get you off of. can it hurt the experience that you're having because you're not resonating with maybe a body that you would otherwise naturally be in? Yes. But I just want to encourage you to, like, reach out to friends. There's a lot of people in SSP. There's a lot of people now, and just like go on Facebook and just say, like, I'm feeling this. Like a week ago,
This
I
is
had
a good
it come on
chance for
really.
me to bring up something. So every
Yeah.
man, I'm an idiot for not bringing this up. I am hosting a support group with Misha Johnston now, which I'm very proud of to be a part of. And basically, I'm going to share my screen with you guys here for a second. 1 second here. Share screen.
Yeah, Misha's support groups are great. Highly recommend.
Yeah, and she's basically like gonna give me the training to do her job, which is great. I mean, I'm like I said, an honor. I'm honored to do it. And so Thursday, January 23rd is the first one. So this Thursday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. It's new, and this is for Gen Millennials and Gen Z. So I think it's 18 to 42 or something like that. Or yeah. So and we invite you to join our free safe space. We can have other young people to discuss all things paranormal, share your thoughts and experiences about ghosts, psionic, psychic abilities, dimensional travel, UFOs, extraterrestrial, spirituality, magic, and secret space programs. If any of these topics resonate with you or your teens, we'd love to have you be a part of our community. So one thing we're on the show is if we want, if you're a teenager that thinks you might be in this stuff, we encourage you. You can come on here, but you need to be with your parents. Otherwise you have to be 18. That's just kind of like the law. So that's why we're doing it that way. Is we don't want to have people come on here and then their parents say, why are you talking with the crazy alien people? We can't have that. So if you are under 18, you do need to have your parent with you. But yeah, so just, these are the questions. What's your age range? Do you identify as a millennial or Gen Z? Have you considered or think that you might be a starseed, indigo, or a crystal child? Are you interested in this paranormal? Which topics are you interested in? And, just general interests and beliefs. Are you an avid gamer? Do you enjoy testing your mind and pushing your abilities? And, you can go to her website, starseedawakening.org. I'm pretty sure all the information is on there as well. And, yeah, it's going to be the fourth Thursday of every month at 3 p.m. So, and we're doing that with Amisha, but eventually it's going to be hands off, and she's not even going to be a part of it. She's teaching us how to do it. It's me and, oh gosh, I should know their names. I'm sorry, guys. I don't remember their names right now, but it's me and two other wonderful women that pretty sure they have they both have a podcast too, and they're friends with Misha. And yeah, so it's not just me. There's a few of us, but yeah, it's a new thing. Misha wants to get younger people on board with this and give them a place to talk and stuff like that. So I'm trying to help her with that. I'm really excited and happy to do that.
Because we have to help protect and the Olympia group, the incoming young people who are here to help usher in the golden era.
Yeah. I hope that someday I'm able to sort of mentor some of these survivors in the way that I was mentored by others in the community that helped me, who are older than me, because obviously I'm younger than most of the people in the community, and I'm really appreciative of all the people who are further along the path who have been there for me along this journey of like awakening and self-discovery and stuff like that. It's meant a lot to me. And the thing that Misha said is like, yeah, this is free. It's a free support group. You guys don't get paid, but you will realize that it is so fulfilling. That's the payment for doing it. You will feel very fulfilled by it. And so that's what I'm excited about. Also, yeah, I want to be clear to everybody. It's free. It does not cost money. We do not ask for money. We want to provide a free resource to people who have been involved in this stuff and need a place to talk. So that's what it's for. And please spread the word, people. If you know younger people who are interested, who are curious, who are trying to wake up and maybe need a little help being pushed along, need people that's like-minded people to talk to, well, we've created an outlet for that. So, yeah, I'm really excited about it. And, yeah, Jordan, you'd be you can totally welcome to come and be a part of the group and join. I'm pretty sure you fit the demographic, so please come join and chat. And, yeah, it'll be great. Just in a couple of days, so... Yeah.
So,
So
Rand, I was going to ask, Rand, when you do your remote viewing, are you, everybody, I mean, people have different techniques and stuff. Some people are able to just kind of like say, hold on a second, and then they like look up and, like, and then they like remote view it. Or do you have to like meditate and like get yourself in the right space and then like do like a whole session with like the piece of paper and all that? Like, what's your
Yeah,
methodology?
yeah. My method's not very scientific. Um, except like I'm pretty sure, for example, oh, was it? We were talking about them earlier. Farsight. They use like the blind testing. That's really how you should be doing it because it helps avoid the biases of what you would be like interpolating. But when you want to RV something for yourself, you can't really you're going to naturally have a bit of a bias. So I just try to take some of it with a grain of salt. And then, yeah, so my method, I pretty much just close my eyes and I just visualize a place. And like, I imagine ARC is a lot like this too, is that was part of why, like the psychic kids at Montauk, which actually pretty much, I think if you were at Montauk, you had to be a psychic kid of some sort, is that you have a very
Mhm.
strong ability to visualize with your mind. So you almost in a way you kind of like translate to a location as if you're a fly on the wall and you hear people talk, you see things. It's a
Mhm.
bit of like I would consider it kind of like a good gestalt where it's like you don't always like see um, everything as if you're standing in a room, but it's like you see like things that kind of you're like that's kind of a unique object that wouldn't exist any other way. Or you'll have a friend bring up something, they're like, oh, I saw that you had like this contraption that you're making, what's that? And it's those sort of things that kind of like start to make it seem like reliable.
Well, not only that, the Farsight Institute, they're able to sometimes interact with the beings at the target
Yeah.
locations that they're trying to access. And they're having full on conversations and discussions, getting information that, like, for them to spontaneously make up stuff like that at that level for, 40 minutes long session straight, I, and then much less to have their information and data line up with other remote viewers in our community. At a certain point, I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure the
Mhm.
information is probably accurate.
I want to take a moment to say happy birthday to an avid watcher of the show and participator in conversation that we love so much and love having on the show. Thank you for being part of the Disclosure Now family, and happy birthday, Rocky Mountain Skywatcher. 63
Happy
years.
63.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's Misha at Star State Awakening that on Google, and also um, if you want to check out Misha and what she does, and check out her support groups, which I'm going to be helping out with now, starseedawakening.org. So yeah, we got to have her on the show again soon, I think, to talk about the support groups. Like just talk about that, and you know that would be a good show, I think.
With some of the new UFO whistleblowers, a lot of them are starting to bring to at least the general populace this idea that a lot of our interactions with ETs are actually telepathic and psychic. And to me, that's kind of like the RV thing. It's so strange coming into this world and having your mind, like you forget everything. And then we're indoctrinated to believe that the world is a very specific way. So a bit of like this process is very painful for people, and I think that us practicing our psychic gifts, whatever they are, and I know that they're enhanced when we do good for others. Like a lot of people ask, like, oh, how do I? A lot of people are like, I want psychic gifts. Like it's something you go to a store and buy. It's like, well, just try and help people, because there's times you'll get in situations with people where you have no worldly way to be able to solve this person's problems, so it pushes you. It's almost like an evolutionary pressure that pushes you. It's like, how I love this person so much, how can I help them? And then all of a sudden you begin to break into the upper chakras and break into the gifts that we naturally inherited. And that's what I think why they do so much. They're trying. they're creating all this electrostatic magnetism around us with,
Yes,
with the spraying and
the things they put in the food and stuff
cultivation.
like that. They're trying to get rid of. They're trying to diminish people's abilities for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But they can't. They can't totally get rid of our abilities. They can't totally destroy them. So they're always going to latently be there underneath the surface of the programming, which is a firewall that they put up in your brain. But the thing
It seems like
is
it
you
seems
can
like it's
get rid
linked to
of the
the
firewall
chakras.
programming.
Arkin, when you say it's linked to the chakras, like as you unlock your chakras, and Rand, you guys would say that, and maybe through expressing forms of love and going through these initiations for each chakra and unlocking it, then that unblocks our abilities. And then when the other side, they're hitting us with all this low frequency stuff, they're definitely attacking our sex chakra through the sexual misery program.
Oh yeah, and that's so much of the programming. Like even like with the 808 bass
sex
drum
anymore.
that they use in a lot of electronic music, which I mean I'm a big fan of the 808 bass drum. Don't get me wrong, but they know it connects to that big booming and the bass that they use in it and stuff like that. It connects to your root chakra, it connects to your sex chakra, and if you make the music about like violence or sex, real primitive stuff, that it helps. And I can tell. It's one of the saddest parts about the programming is how they made sex all fucking weird and messed up and
So
just
weird.
fucked it all up, like, because like it's not obviously, it's what creates every human life, like it's a beautiful thing, but they fucked it all up. And the fact that they also took music, something that's also perfectly fine and good, it's actually a beautiful thing, and they use that, two great, what are supposed to be good things, use them for such evil. And the way that music is used to program people, it's used to program people, it's used as a mind control method. And it's sad, like even with you have from the Beatles, who pose with in butcher costumes with dead babies, like it was cool, to the modern day rap scene, which turned into songs like "Hit 'Em Up," which literally caused countless deaths. Which, I mean, I love Tupac, but that happened, man. Like it caused violence. You know what I mean? And like a lot of this music was intentionally designed to cause violence because it was being manufactured. Decided in boardrooms that that's the music that they wanted to proliferate, and that's the music that they're going to prop up, and not the conscious KRS-One like side of like hip hop and stuff like that. That they would stifle that, and of course,
An immortal technique.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Quality,
They of course put that underneath the boot, and then of course sign all these. It's all manufactured, and the thing, and even some of these guys are even admitting to it now and kind of saying, I was wrong. I was young, shouldn't have done it, but I did. Like I've seen interviews, like what I mean, when they basically flat out admit it. So, and it's the prison to pipeline. It's the school to prison pipeline kind of thing where they want to get young people programmed to think it's cool to be doing crimes and stuff like that, which probably later on in life they might figure that out and be like, oh wow, that was dumb of me, I was young. But if they get caught, it's too late, right? Because of the programming, because of the music, and they're already stuck in it. It's just, it's a real sad thing. There's been a lot of music, or a lot of sadness and misery and just suffering that's been proliferated by the music industry. And another thing too, that is the part that really like upsets me, and is the fact that they've used the music to program sexual programming into people. Like you look at all like basically like pedophilic like sexual programming. Like you look like a lot of these like Justin Bieber and women like Britney Spears, Miley Cyrus, Hannah Montana, or whatever. All these people, they all started before they were children. They were young, and they were already being sexualized, and then they turned into sex symbols. Like
They were
Britney
Disney
Spears.
and Nickelodeon kids.
Yeah. So they're sexualized at very young ages and raised in that environment. People don't realize how bad it is, because like I can testify from being there at Chiron Studios with Dennis Pop and Max Martin, and I remember how he would have Britney Spears on his lap and stuff like that, and she was treated, like a sexual object, and they treated her like a musician, but also like a sexual object, and it was just like, oh yeah, this is normal. This is the music industry. You know what I mean?
Is
like
that in
the
LA?
Harvey Weinstein thing?
Where's that at?
Stockholm, Sweden.
Sweden. Okay.
Yeah, it's and I talked about it's a part of Ordo Templum Nephilim, and like a whole weird Swedish cult that is very reminiscent of uh, Midsummer Dream or something like that. There's a movie, Midsummer. Yeah, I think it's just called Midsummer actually. And if anyone wants to kind of get the feel of like what, yeah, it's called Midsummer. If anyone wants to get the feel of what Ordo Templum Nephilim was like, watch Midsummer and like imagine that, but like time travel and like clones and like centaur, like actual centaurs and crazy shit. Like it's wild. But yeah, that's a big part of my. Here's something that's crazy about this. So I have a little story behind this, and I shouldn't say this publicly, but I'm gonna say it. Fuck it. I mean, I did give Ask Pizza my book, and Austin Babbitt, he knows me, and that art show that she did. I have literally have like talked back and forth with Austin.
So everyone, just so you don't know, if you're not familiar with Ass Pizza, because it's quite a name, he is a young up and coming fashion guy, creator out of LA, I believe, and he is Austin Babbitt's his real name. You know him to some extent, Arkeem?
Yeah, I met him at an event that he did where he showed up with a printer press and like printed like and like sold clothes and stuff like that. And I gave him my book, and I don't know why I had the desire to do this because it's really random. He's like a fashion designer. Like I just like this guy is gonna read my book. I just have this feeling that he needs to have my book, and I straight up told him when I gave it to him, like, you're literally the first person to get this. It was one of the first 5 print copies that says like this is a test around it and stuff. I was like, so this is like exclusive, and I told him he's like, what's it all about? And I told him, I'm like, I got kidnapped when I was in elementary school for time travel and secret space programs and stuff. He's like, oh, he's just like, yeah, I believe you. Wow. Like, told me about this guy that he met in the middle, like somewhere in the middle of nowhere at a rest stop or something that like told him a similar story. And he said like you could throw any math problem at it and he could just answer it. And he said, yeah, it's because the government did all these crazy experiments on me or something. I'm like, wow, that's an interesting story. He's like, yeah, so I believe you. And then so he read my book, and I talk about Amanda in it. And, a couple months later, he's got this art show with her booked. And I talked with him back and forth. I told her about her handler, told him about her handler, told him that he has to watch out for her handler. It's a certain individual that she has in her life who is part of the Luciferian cult that seems like an innocuous friend. But I just gave him a heads up, and he knew about it, so now he knows about it. And he told me we're going to save Amanda. He's very supportive of her. He loves her, man. That's his homie. That's his friend. Like, you can see if you watch the video on his YouTube of the art show. He literally just wants her to thrive, be happy again, put her out of the world.
Arkeem, you said in alternate timelines, she's like a really gifted person.
She was in the vaudeville era. So, okay, so, Brandy, I'm sorry that I'm taking like this whole interview over. I don't mean to be rude. But in other timelines in the vaudeville era of comedy, so this would be like in the 1920s, around that area, stuff like that. She's in the alternate timeline with the Zeppelins and stuff like that, and where things were a lot different and things didn't come out the same as this timeline. There was no Hindenburg incident, stuff like that, so things came out different. She was, famous like I Love Lucy kind of person, but like ahead of even Lucy's time. And she made it okay for a woman to do certain things that like women weren't supposed to smoke cigarettes or even like be funny and stuff like that. She was a pioneer in a million different ways, and she was beloved, and she was considered just like one of the comedy greats of all time, right? You know what I mean? Like, you think of the big names, like she was one of them, and that is why this is why in I got a ban troll here.
Don't pick up the rope. Well, something that kind of came to my mind is like how you're talking about you're like connected with your friend, your Ass Pizza. You connected with him, and it's like he just picked it. He's like, yeah, I totally believe this stuff. That's the strangest thing about us is like kind of being just like random people is that we're able to talk about these things, and then people that are like in the military. See, there's a lot of people that are in the military that watch this stuff, and they're They're like, how is it that these kids know about all these places that we did all this stuff at, and they are bringing memories back for me. And I just say that because like the example that you had with your friend really brings up in my mind how important it is that we keep speaking. But you're talking about this one girl in the Zeppelin timeline.
Yeah, it's Amanda Bynes. Amanda Bynes. She was from Nickelodeon.
Hmm.
So she was one of the Nickelodeon stars. She actually had her whole show, the Amanda Show. And as a kid, I loved that show. It was funny. But it's coming out that these guys were basically all PDF files. The guys running it, you know what I mean? And she was victimized by them. And really, she's in the programs. I mean, she's in the MK Ultra programs. Honestly, is really what it is.
They
She's an
put her
asset
through
and
the
stuff.
ringer. They put her through the ringer in this timeline. It sounds like they made it a point to really exploit her and mess her up.
Yeah. And I know that I'm pretty sure that Austin Babbitt as Pizza, he recognized that, and her whole thing now is like fashion design, art, stuff like that. And so he's like, let's give her that. He's trying to help her out with through that outlet, and the show went really well and stuff. There's a video on YouTube. But yeah, the reason why Nickelodeon, their trophy is like a Zeppelin. They're letting people know, because there are people out there like, do they know that's like a Amanda from like the other timeline? Do they know who that is? Like, right? Like, and they're showing you, yes, we do, with the Zeppelin being the trophy, and a lot of different things. A lot of people say the logo also looks like Epstein Island and stuff like that. I mean, and then the dress for bikini bottom matching Epstein, which I'm literally Googled it. It sounds so crazy. It sounds like it's made up and it's not true. Look it up, Google it, type it in on Google Maps. It's crazy. Like,
see, what I thought when I was young, I thought that was reminiscent of Nickelodeon had that like slime show, that Gak, and there's like Gak long ago, and I thought it was just like a pile of the goo that they had on that game show.
What was the goo? What do you mean?
That the shape of that Nickelodeon uses for.
Oh yeah. But of course,
that's what I
used
to. That's just what I assumed that shape was representing. It was just a splat of goo.
Right.
Yeah, there was so much stuff going on. Like now that we watch that as adults and look back, there was so much stuff going on that was not acceptable, not okay. And
they put it in our faces. Look at Robot Chicken with Seth Green as one of the co-creators, and he was one of the people that Isaac Cappy outed for having a mansion in Malibu where they had a back torture dungeon room where they kept the chicken or the kids.
Which is where the fires were, interestingly enough, yeah. And so that's why it's called Robot Chicken?
Yeah, if you watch episodes of that, it's supposed to be like funny, haha, but they sneak in some really dark, weird.
Yeah, just like Family Guy does too. Like there was predictive programming about the Boston Marathon guy in one of it, where Lois talks about him being sexy. It's super fucked up and weird and gross. And I remember at the time watching it, because it was back in the day. We didn't have the internet, and like it was on the TV. I watched it when the episode came out, and I remember the joke about a bomber and like them being sexy, and Lois saying they're sexy and all that stuff. I'm like, this is weird. What? There's no joke here. This is just, it gave me a really gross vibe. And then sure enough, then it happened, and there are people pointing out that weird predictive programming like joke they snuck in there. So like, yeah, it's pretty weird stuff going on with all of these shows, and just absolutely. Isn't that just bizarre? Like, it's just like,
yeah. And we've normalized it so much. We've become so desensitized to all of it. And that goes back to what you were saying with like the combination of like the extremes with sexuality, is that we have like very like religious perspectives on it, and in many regards very patriarchal. And then at the same time, we have the total opposite, where it's like it totally degrades all of the sacredness of that partnership with another person. And it's like, I don't like, this place is a nightmare in a lot of regards for so many people.
Well, Rand, do you know anyone in the LA area? I mean, I know Carrie Cassidy of Project Camelot. She was affected. She had
Myself,
to
no.
go an evacuation order.
Mhm.
We have Heidi Pop, who lives in LA. She's a shining light there, beacon of light. And
Yeah.
How has she been doing? Is she
I think she's been
okay?
doing okay. She's still doing shows, so I believe she, wasn't
That's
affected
good.
directly by the fires.
I actually, I feel
Mhm.
bad. I haven't really thought about that yet. She's in LA. Well, I'm glad she's doing okay. Oh, how are you doing, Wilson? So, Wilson, boots on the ground. How are things going in Los Angeles? Are you doing okay? You still have somewhere to live?
I mean, are
Uh,
people in shock with like tens of thousands of people
yeah,
just
I mean,
homeless all of a sudden?
this is your
Like,
moment to shine in the chat, Wilson. You're from Los Angeles, and we're talking about Los Angeles right now. So
they're getting
yeah, just let us know
sovereign.
what's going on.
Sovereign Cosmic Wildman saying the fires did not reach Heidi's area, which is good.
He's
This
doing
is
okay. He wasn't close to the fires. Well, that's really good news.
good.
Yeah, thankfully most of the population is like down in the valley and away from those hillsides. And even when you go into LA, like you look at those mountainsides and they're just filled with chaparral that it's, let's just say the ecology is very different than it is down in the valley. But still, it would be a scary place to have been. But it looks like the containment was like 50 to 80% for most of them, and this weekend they anticipate rain. So
He says people are definitely in shock. I also kind of saw these fires. Yeah, I can only imagine that even if your home is fine, even if you didn't start on fire yourself, you know what I mean. Your home's intact and everything. It's still got to be kind of a bit traumatic for you, Wilson. And our hearts all go out to you and the community of Los Angeles because I mean it's the city you live in. I know how it can be like. It's such a beautiful city. I'm sure you kind of have a connection to it. You probably care about Los Angeles if you live there and yeah, just our heart goes out to you and your community, and like hopefully this helps bring attention to the situation, and they do a bit more and help you guys out. So and
Yeah, I
let's see
did
what
hear
else this
Trump is
say.
heading out there.
The briefly in Hollywood, the most frustrating thing is people that think it's random or climate. Yeah, and you live there, right? So it's like I don't think we want to sit there and gaslight the people that actually live there, right? Like that's the opposite of what we're doing on this channel. But I know that our people are out there saying it's absolutely ridiculous. And like I said, the people that are living there are saying something weird's going on. And here we have Wilson in the chat, he's here a lot of the times, and he's able to give boots on the ground testimony that yeah, this is not a normal event. Something strange going on, and
Archie, it's like your friend from the Paradise, California fires, where she's saying
mhm.
people are melted with laser
Yeah, she
beams.
was like, no, this was
She
weird.
means
She's
it.
like, I've seen fires before. Like, I've been out west for a while, forest fires happen and stuff. She's like, this was different. Like, she
I've
was
also
there
heard,
in paradise.
I heard Paradise did have some kind of positive ET or hybrid ET group presence, and that was also partly why that area was targeted at that time.
Yeah, it could be. And, my friend Rita is definitely, like, high vibe, like, starseed type person, like, probably connected to the programs in some way. Like, so. And she was living there at that time, so she might even been connected to that, all that. Who knows? So.
yeah, it was definitely the videos. It was what we consider a firestorm. They create their own I don't know, their own wind patterns even, and I know it's up to like 100-mile-per-hour wind. It's just an inferno. I can't imagine it. I remember seeing some of those videos when people were driving their cars through the mountains up in California, and the whole forest is burning down around them, and it's hell on.
Yeah, I couldn't, at the time, I'll be honest with you, because I was younger, a little more naive. I was like, "Oh, Rita's probably just traumatized by a fire, right?" But it's like, no, like that, no, like she is telling the truth. She knows what she saw. She said things were melting that shouldn't melt. Like, just She said, dude, they were literally. She's like, it was like lasers. Like, I should ask her if I could have her on the show and give her testimony of it sometime. Because like, yeah, you wouldn't even have to be like a whole interview. She just talk to me 10 minutes and just say what it was like when she lived through that. Because she was literally like, we got attacked by lasers. That's literally what she said. LA needs healing and ascension for sure. We need a consciousness breakthrough. A lot more people now are conscious. I love Los Angeles. Yeah, like I know that there are versions of me that have lived there. I feel very connected to it. It's one of the most beautiful cities on the planet. And
I went to Occidental College there for 7 years, or for 5 years, and I lived there for 2 more, so a total of 7 in LA. Mostly Eagle Rock and Pasadena, and spent a lot of time hanging out in Santa Monica and Venice Beach.
Yeah, Wilson, that's a good point about you're a creative, yet the nasty stuff kind of like stresses you out, and that's a shame. It's like, think of how many like really artistic people have been looked over because they don't serve the whatever the pretty much the agenda of degradation of the consciousness of humanity.
yeah, I mean, you
Like,
literally
great
basically
movies have never been made.
you've got to sell your soul in order to join their little cult, and that's why all these
Mhm.
guys are terrible people taking advantage of women, or maybe depending on their interests, men or whatever.
I have a friend, I won't say his name here on air, but he's like kind of like from a bloodline family, and he was living in LA, and he was getting into the film industry, and was somehow got involved through a friend with a studio set where they were doing a movie about like a demonically possessed bong, some kind of like college sex romper comedy dumb movie. And he was part of it, and he got really freaked out because at the early on the parties that they would throw, it's like he said, like they were trying to get him involved in these like occult rituals and stuff. And it started out where it's like there's like they were all partying, and there was like a girl on a bed, and they said, get on the bed and do stuff with her. And then it got weird really quick, and he like noped out, and then he was like being stalked for a while, and his friend who introduced him to the Hollywood set was like calling him like, yo, you're making me look really bad, you're going to get us in trouble, blah blah blah, you better not say anything. And this guy, he freaked out, he left Hollywood.
If you want to kind of get a taste of that in a movie, I highly recommend people watch Under the Silver Lake, because it's a really good movie about.
That's part of LA. There's Silver Lake, LA. Is that what it's?
Yeah. And it shows how it actually shows mind control songs. It's how I figured out that Brimful of Aja is a Montauk song. It's because I watched this movie, and it's in the background of the movie, and it made me fucking freak out like when I heard it, and like activated me big time. And it shows how even a lot of the people in the music industry, they're not given all the details on the stuff. They don't know everything that's going on. Like the guy's trying to figure out where the songs are coming from, because a lot of them have hidden messages in them in the movie. And he goes to this musician, and he's got like a gun in his face or a knife to his throat or whatever. Sorry for spoilers here, but and he's like, hey, where do the songs come from? Like where are these secret messages coming from? And the guy's like, the record company signed us, and they're like, you can play your music, do your thing, but we're going to give you certain songs that you have to make part of your repertoire. And that was just one of the songs. He's like, I didn't know there were secret messages in it even, and all this stuff. And it's like, so it's like it shows that all these people are naive. They just want fame. They'll sign any contract. They'll do anything. And it just shows the weirdness. Like, it shows the underground. It shows the homeless king, who is a real person who was part of the Montauk Project, who had keys to gateways and where tunnels were and stuff like that. And a lot of times if you came out of a portal and you needed to know where something was, or needed to know what was going on, he was the guy who would greet you. They called him the homeless king. Well, he's in the movie. Like, there's so much recall I got from watching this movie. It shows how certain stuff, like a sign not working the right way.
I'm watching this tonight with my wife.
Yeah. It just
You're gonna watch this tonight, Archie.
It shows how certain stuff, like a sign not working the right way. It might seem innocuous, but the A on the sign blinking, it signifies something to people. It shows how there's hidden symbols all over the place that different people see, and there's different languages that these secret groups speak, and how they're doing all this stuff right in front of our eyes. And basically, like, yeah, he finds this group because like this girl that he kind of had a one night stand with that lived in the apartment by him like disappears, and that's the whole movie is him like trying to figure out what happened to her, and like because of that he finds this whole weird world, and it's very very much so pretty close to reality. I think it's one of those movies.
Yeah, that's why I think Montauk is such a is really kind of a keystone of a lot of this, because if what we look at Aquino, and then he was Anton, wasn't Aquino originally connected to Anton, and
Yeah,
Anton
Anton, and they had a
affected a
falling out.
lot of the music or a lot of the theater, but then Aquino was involved with the PSYOP division, and we know that the government gets involved with media, and then simultaneously they redirect, connect. Like, I actually think a lot of the cult stuff is directly connected to Montauk, and Montauk is like the network where these demonic energies were traveling across. And that's why it's so important that we as survivors heal ourselves, because essentially what we're doing is we're shutting down the network and taking their power away. That's my perspective on it. It's kind of that collective consciousness thing. It's like if those who have been through the very worst, if those women out there who have been the very worst horrible things have happened to you that you absolutely do not deserve, but you're able to heal yourself and forgive those who attacked you.
I don't think you gotta forgive anybody. That's just my personal opinion.
That's in between each individual person. That ends up helping others heal. It makes it easier for someone else to heal. Just like when whoever ran the first 5-minute mile, is it Jesse Owens? I don't know. After, no one thought it could be done until the man did it. And then after that, everyone else started running 5-minute miles. So I personally believe a lot of that concept is like, a lot of it starts within ourselves, and talking about it. Like, it's open now. Like, you talk to kids who are Gen Z, they may not know about this stuff, but you talk to them about P. Diddy, and they're like, I didn't know that, but I believe it. Like, it's just not as difficult to break through the barriers now. And I'm
We've just
excited.
seen
I
too
think
much
the
at
young
this point.
generation is going to do a lot.
Yeah, we've seen too much at this point for them to be like surprised by stuff, right? Like the younger generation has seen so much crazy stuff in such a short amount of time that, like, yeah, it's kind of hard for them to be like, oh no, that couldn't happen. No, look at all the crazy things we've seen in even just the past 5 years or 6 years or whatever.
We've been in a war. It's an asymmetric war of a whole bunch of bad players and a few good players. I like to think we're some of the good ones who are trying to like defang this, whatever this is. And people are traumatized. That's the one thing I think. It's like a lot of people don't like, when on the news that people talked about post-traumatic stress disorder from the last 4 years. No one does. It's like, let's just move on. Let's forget any of these things ever happened, but it's still in our subconscious.
Yeah, no, for sure. There's an apology. Maybe that conversation can finally be had now. Like, there's probably some apologies that need to be said, and some reconciliations that need to be made, and some corrections that need to occur, to say the least. And I don't know. Maybe that'll happen in the near future. Who knows? We'll see. So it's pretty crazy to see that Joe Biden pardoned Fauci. I thought that was pretty wild. That's a pretty bold
I knew
move.
that was coming. I'm not surprised at all. Same thing with the Hunter Biden pardon.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised by that. I was more surprised by the Fauci thing.
Oh, yeah, no.
But I guess
Because-
maybe I shouldn't be. Maybe that's my fault for being surprised. But
No,
yeah,
Liz Cross did the psychic Liz Cross did a mind probe of Joe Biden and Joe Biden, and basically the mind probe turns up as like, he did whatever he would, what any father would do to protect their own son. That's his position.
Right. It's kind of true. I see that. Doesn't make it right, but also, like, what would you do as a father? You'd probably do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I know what I would do as a father. I would do the same thing. So anyway,
Well, we talked about one firestorm to another there.
Yeah, we talked about a lot of different stuff. I think the next
There's
time
so
we
much
have
going on.
Rand Moonshadow, our good friend here on the show, we're gonna just talk about Mars because you have a lot of info on Mars,
Yeah, I'll
and
just
I've
say
been
what
getting memories
I
back too.
remember.
What's that,
I
Rand?
just say what I remember. A couple days ago, I watched a Randy Kramer video for the first time, and I was surprised. There were about 5 or 6 small things that he mentioned that I was like, wow, yeah, I remember it that way too.
Yeah,
And
people
that's what's
remember Randy. Other people
exciting.
remember him there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember him. He was a real fucking prick.
I know you're one of the people who
a
remember.
lot of swear at times. I think like
I love you, Randy. You can be
Oh
prickly
no, man, he
sometimes,
was a
but I love you,
prick.
brother.
He would very very rarely congratulate. You know, like some people, their style as a leader is they're gonna reward you when you do good and punish you when you do bad. He was mostly just like 90% punish you when you do bad, and
never
if you
good
do
enough.
good, that's just expected. Fuck off. Like you just never
That's what
really
you're
felt
paid
much
to
love
do,
from him. That's
not
the way
paid
it
to do.
felt. Like, but that's a whole other thing. And you know, I've been reprimanded by him several times, and it's not fun for little stupid shit. But you know, he was just doing his job, so I hold no grudges.
Yeah, well, and that's what kind of like tries to recreate to me into some sort of compassion for these psycho people here on Earth is that I'm like, yeah, I remember what I was in SSP and I was a monster. And to see it goes back to that there's a Stanford prison story or study called the book is The Lucifer Experiment by Dr. Zimbago, something like that. It's an essential book to read. And pretty much what it talked about is that there were just 2 groups of students who were put in a mock prison situation, and they found that the prisoners and the fake prison guards began to go into doing really negative things towards each other, and it was just an experiment, and they were just students. And it really made me realize that, you know, when sometimes the environment that someone is inside is exactly which makes them that which they are. And if we're not able to stop that environment from existing, it's going to continue.
I got both the cats here, you guys.
Yeah, like
this is heaven for me. I love these cats so
You're
much.
feeling the love.
Yeah,
Wow,
I love these cats.
Karen is
All right, bye
yeah,
guys.
they're great.
There's not enough room for both of you.
Both the kitties got so big. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I miss
know.
them. Just like you miss the doggies here. I miss the kitties.
Yeah. It's nice to see them on the show, and they pop in and say hello.
So Wilson says Ismail Press says LA fires were caused by satanic ritual, and Gavin Newsom created a website debunking that claim. Yeah.
Yeah, which a lot of the times what they say isn't true. They're like, this is definitely not true. Well, a lot of times, why are they saying that? You got to look at the source it's coming from and be like, can you really trust them? I don't trust that guy. I don't know about you guys.
Gavin Newsom? I could tell you
yeah.
about him.
You know what? He's in the breakaways. He's in the
really?
breakaways. He's like a governor of some, or he's also like a political figure out in break. I've seen him before, Gavin Newsom.
Please tell me he's more intelligent in the breakaways.
He's just a use like I think he's kind of like one of those people where I think he's not really. He's just a talking piece. Like he's got a
He's a
spokesperson.
He's a face.
Yeah,
exactly.
He's a face. He's good at being a face. He's a handsome mug to look at, right?
Yeah, and he does not have any managerial skills. And
he denies responsibility.
Yeah, he was a train wreck in San Francisco, and I dealt with him as a community organizer trying to save hospitals there, and he was just like, forget about it. And so that same laissez-faire, let it burn attitude, if the higher ups say so, that he was like, that was basically his San Francisco mayorship. That's just more of the same in California. So I can imagine him being in charge of a breakaway. Why? Like, you need to give optics and crap down here, but I guess it's the same thing up there.
You talked about them changing someone's gender to cause confusion. Do you think that would be a reason why someone recognizes or remembers someone? We have a theory that energetically it seems like Kat was at Montauk, but like my partner, Catherine, but no one remembers her. And we're thinking she had a male alter named Bruce. So there are situations where, that might be going on. And I'm curious if we ever did like one of those, face apps where it gender swaps you. and then show people, if like, do you remember this person? It might, people be like, yeah, I remember that. So I think that's definitely a real thing. And I want to say I love you too, and I also love the cats. And yeah, so yeah, I just want to say that I think that is something that they do. Also, I think that there's other ways that they can make people look different. Different hair color can do a lot. Maybe a slightly different nose. Like, I feel like we usually look more or less the same, but we don't always look exactly the same. I think John Whitberg has talked about that too. Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you think that I mean, I know your energy. I feel it every time you're in the chat. Like, I know you. Like, and I care about you a lot. And yeah, your energy when you show up, I'm always grateful that you're here. And yeah, we do need to do this FaceTime that we keep talking about. I don't know. I gotta check my email. Let me see my email right now and see if you're in there. But yeah.
Yeah, they would so they would split us off into opposite sex and genders, and then even sometimes they would have us have children. Which like that, like this is really the depth of the insanity it is, and you don't even know that that is necessarily an alter because of the trauma programming. And then Avena Sativa, this idea that there are no good guys. Yeah, like it's really difficult to look at some of the memories that I've had and to see that, we are as much of we at times probably in our incarnational cycles, not everyone, I'm not saying everyone was, but many of us have been the very close to the monsters that we are fighting now. So if we're not able to heal that within ourselves, how are we ever going to be able to heal it in the world at large?
I mean, Dolores Cannon says exactly that, Rand. We've all been abused and abusers, eaten and eating and all that, and so that's kind of the philosophical approach I take to whether or not it's in the programs. Does it really matter? We've all been there. The question is, where do we as humanity want to go from here?
This is actually, it might sound kind of oversimplified to some people or whatever, but I think this is the nailing it. Like, the Satanism just traps everyone in fear of whoever is willing to do the most evil. So like, I think, like, I agree with that, and I think that, well, I know from experience that it's a fear-based mind control system, trauma-based mind control system, where I'll give you an example. When I was abused as a boy in these programs, I was a victim, right? And then I was given the option to be play a different role and be an abuser. And basically, the chemical switch in my brain that they gave me was, by abusing people keeps me safe. So that's what they do in these programs. Is they basically, if you get close to someone, they can take them away from you or hurt them or use them to manipulate you. So don't get close to people, and be scary. Make it so people are scared of you, so that people leave you alone and you don't get hurt. That's what turned me into the monster that I was during the Montauk Project, which didn't last forever. But I wasn't the greatest guy for a while there. I was not a good person for a long time. So yeah.
It really, what I remember you, Arkeem, though, is it like really wasn't you though. It was more of like an alternative personality of the pain that you experienced.
Yeah, his name was Jacob. Well, I don't know if he was actually, because I mean, I think that might have been what the old man Emmerman named me. My biological father, sperm donor, was just named me Jacob, and they just kept that name. But it's definitely not me. We're really similar, for sure, but as far as our personalities, but we're definitely also way different. And he defected. He didn't stay with the program, and so that's a whole nother story. But
yeah, there was one other thing I noticed too, is that they would send us through time to kill an aspect of our soul in another timeline, so that the wound would have been like, the soul wound would have been self-afflicted. And that was actually what kind of that started breaking.
We send you into other timelines to kill a version of yourself.
Yeah.
I've also heard of someone being trained,
Or
and
you would accidentally do that too. Yeah,
one
go,
thing
sorry.
that somebody had to do to prove their allegiance to the program, somebody who's not public, but I know that I can at least share this, is in order for her to prove her allegiance to Project Phoenix and that she was like 100% on board, she had to go to another timeline and kill her entire family
Yeah.
and then come
Yeah.
back. And then when she came back, she was being congratulated, and like she said, it was like just this weird. It was just like she felt terrible for what she did, but she comes back and was like, "Oh, great! Like here, like have a beer, like yeah, all right, you did it. Like yeah, you're part of the team now." Like it's that fucked up. Sending you to another timeline to kill your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, whatever. Pretty disgusting stuff.
Yeah, that was in the Montauk Chronicles. I'm forgetting his name right now, but the guy lives in Michigan. I'll think of it. But he talked about that. He's like, yeah, a lot of the programming was is that they would want to turn us into the thing that was most terrifying, so that we never could reaccess our memories, and that's why they made us in the
Well,
wildest
Preston
times.
Nichols put it this way when he was asked by James Drink. He said, "Who would want to go on?" When they're like, "Well, won't they remember? Couldn't they remember?" He's like, "Who would
Yeah.
want to go in there willingly go into their own horror world?"
Yeah, I think that was the quote. Yeah, the quote in the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, well, me, because I want to remember the people that I loved and the things they cared about. It wasn't all torture and mind control and being, assaulted and hurt as a child and all that. That's a big part of it, and it sucks, but there's good parts too. And just I deserve to remember what happened to me. Now, to answer this question though, hundreds of years, thousands of years maybe. Yes, it was in a time bubble. Time bubbles are hard to explain. Basically, time is slowed down to the point where it's basically still. And I don't even claim to know exactly how it works. It's that stuff that's more like Preston Nichols like area, like beyond my pay grade kind of thing. Like I don't know how it all worked, but it was basically like like a slowed down. They call it a time bubble. They slow down time, and by slowing down time, it makes it like easier to affect the timeline and change the timeline, I guess, from within the time bubble. So
Yeah, there were people at like Montauk, say when you use Facebook, right? They like the kids at Montauk were like us users on Facebook. But there were people at Montauk that were like the engineers at Facebook who had this specific back end that they can see all this data and information and how all these timelines interlinked. And those are people that were probably Preston. El Bielek was more of like a busybody as far as I remember. But who I'm trying to remember the guy's name who was in charge of the administration there. But then even Aquino, and then there's another person who's still alive, so I'm not going to say his name yet. And there were more. Because even in the banking cabal now, there's people we know about. Everyone talks about the Rothschilds, but they're just the front face. There's people, you could feel them. It's like you may not know who they are.
what
But
are
you
they?
can
What there's
feel
one.
people
It's
in the
the
back.
Collins family is one of them.
That could be one of them.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Collins family. No one ever talks about them, but they're like huge. They're basically a huge cabal, like bloodline, like family that's involved in a lot of really nefarious, weird stuff. And I feel like maybe doesn't
The
can't remember
Vanderbilt.
who it was that talked. I can't remember where I got that information from, but yeah, people look into the Collins family. Interesting.
Yeah, and as far as I understand it so far, is that a lot of it was kind of like this UN-esque program where there's a lot of powerful people in all the nations of the world post World War II that decided they wanted to like rule space, I guess. But it was based upon this concept of some sort of unified peace. But one thing that you got to recognize is like, why is it that there's people that seem to be Russian assets? Why is it that there's people that seem to have been French or been Solar Warden or Nachtwaffen? Where on Earth, we're all supposed to be at war with each other, right? But for some reason up in space, everyone's working together for the goals of the international corporate conglomerate. It's like, it just really goes to show that a lot of the theater we see on Earth is not the same way off planet.
Yeah, it's not. Well, there's the something that is like real in war a lot is, and just like power struggles in general and stuff like that is just a friend of, and two enemies, if they got a mutual enemy, well, then they can become friends. This happens lots. And, we work with Russia out there pretty closely on certain things, China really closely on certain things, and countries that we might not seem like we have the best relations with here on Earth. It's kind of weird. Yeah, we have great relationships with them out
Yeah.
there. Like, I'm pretty sure the first mission to Mars, the first real one that we landed there and like out there and stuff, pretty sure the United States and Russia were working together on that one. That was a joint project. So that was during the Cold War. So it's like there's actual video that you can find of it, the video of them landing on Mars. It's some of the only real footage that I've ever found of Mars is that footage, and it's kind of sucks because it's like a guy talking about it in the '90s, and it's him showing it on a screen, and it's a film of that instead of the actual film. But I
And
can
there's going
tell
to be
by
a
looking at
movie.
it, it's real.
And they said, "Oh, this isn't real footage. This is probably made from a science fiction movie sometime." And then they showed the footage of them landing on Mars. It's like the capsule is like spiraling down, and it's
Yeah, I
like
know what you're
it's
talking about,
view
yeah.
from inside the capsule. As it
Maybe it might have
surface.
been one. All I know is like I don't know if it's the same one when it lands. There's one of the like weird little. They have like little like armadillo like sand burrow. What do we call them? I don't remember what they're called, but they like burrow in the sand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like when the craft lands, it's one of the first things you see. It's like there's obviously life because there's this thing moving in the dirt. And they freak out in the video like, oh, there's life. See, look, there's life. Holy
Yeah.
shit. Like,
Yeah, it's presented like it's a Hollywood-made movie, or it was made in the UK, right? It's presented like it's that, but then at the same time, it also appears that it could very well be real footage, right? So
yeah,
it's
I'm
an
pretty sure it's
interesting,
real. I don't know. I've seen it like
interesting game.
it looked real to me, but maybe it's not. That's the thing that's really annoying with this stuff is something you really think is real. Sometimes you find out it's not real. That happens all the time. So it's kind of an annoying.
Well, a lot of that
thing to deal
movie
with.
is talking about scientists and stuff that just start disappearing. And David Pleiades, I think his name is, who did the Missing 411. He did a Missing 411 Contact, and he's very scientific, and he doesn't jump to conclusions. And he's like, well, it seems that a whole bunch of like Caucasian people that are doctors and engineers seem to get abducted in national forests. And it sounds just like connected to the Valkyrie programs or whatever with Nachtwaffen.
Right.
Yeah, but it definitely is.
The brain drain.
They want their expertise. Well, guys, I have another show coming up on this very channel on the hour where I've been wanting to interview Madison Clare, but I haven't been able to interview her. So I'm going to play an interview of hers and then react to it and talk about it. I'll give you an example. She talks about how her dad said time travel is real and all this weird stuff. There's just weird little side notes I want to add, and hopefully eventually we can actually interview her. Hopefully we'll get her attention. She said that she doesn't really want to do interviews much anymore because she started to put her story out there, but I disagree with that attitude. I think you should do as many interviews as you can and get the information out there and stop these people. You can't just go on one or two shows. And also, like, I'm not just anybody. I'm Arkeem Ra. Like, I can tell her why her dad was telling her about time travel and stuff. I know some things. So hopefully I can actually get her on the show. But since I haven't been able to do that, it should be a long one because the interview is like 2 hours long, and I'm going to be reacting to it. So on the hour, the next hour, come right back, you guys. There's going to be a whole other show reacting to testimony. What we're talking about is what they talk about is her father is part of the CIA, and basically started this online pizza ordering website that she testifies to being connected to basically trafficking, and basically she was abused by her father. He says some pretty crazy things and like about like just it's pretty damning information. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing on the hour, and I don't know. I guess I'll see you guys there in the chat if you want to come back. And yeah, everybody, do you have anything else to say, Brian? Or
I just want to say thank you for everyone for being here. Please hit the notification bell because sometimes we switch up our time a little bit, an hour forward or backwards. But that's who knows? With the notification bell, I'm sure it's good. Avina Sativa, thanks for watching us on World of Sasquatch. And yeah, it is weird because they have so much good information. A lot of us are trying to work with Christopher and Joanna to raise our profile. Just like a lot of us, we're trying to work together to overcome all the censorship and banning. And so we've got some exciting
Which
things.
apparently, should be easier to do now. Fingers crossed. I don't know. We're gonna see. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
so yeah, all that stuff helps big time. I want to grow this. There's a reason why I'm doing 2 shows today, and I'm gonna keep doing a lot. It's because I do want to grow the channel. This is important to me, and this information is really important, and I would love it to get out there further and wider. So anyway, thanks for being a part of the show, Randy. And you want to just tell people where to find you, or
Sure.
any information, or
Yeah, so I ran Moonshadow on Facebook. It's private, just so I can talk about sensitive things. But you
yeah,
can,
you've got videos and stuff on there, by the way. So if you want to hear his
yeah,
thoughts on
and
things and stuff like that, he's got videos
in
where
the
he talks about
chat,
certain stuff.
my avatar is my channel on YouTube. You can look that. It's just Randolph Schreiner, and yeah, I talk about some of the stuff, my memories from Montauk, and also for some reason I thought I would describe. So I picked Moonshadow just because I don't know. I just remember having memories on the backside of the moon. That's all it's about. I think people look into things too much, and I just thought I would disclose that for everyone.
Oh,
Be
thank you.
What does this mean? But anyways, yeah. Thanks everyone for being here, and it's great to talk with you, Brian, and our team. Love you guys.
All right, thanks everybody for being here. Have a great night, and I'll see you in a little while.
Yep. Cheers.
Take care.
Bye.